Get started. Okay, today's daf, Be'ezus Hashem, is Masechta Baba Sanhedrin and Daf Chav Zayin. And we will start from Daf Chav Hey, Daf Chav Vav Amud Beis, okay? And we're discussing over here those that are disqualified from saying testimony. You can't use them as an aid. So Amar Rav Nachman, okay, it's about like a last third of the daf. Amar Rav Nachman, Oichle Davar Achar Pesulin Le'edis. It's very interesting. If you take charity, okay, from Goyim, let's say you go panhandling in the subway, so then you're Pesulin Le'edis. You're puzzled to do edis because that's like degrading yourself for money. And if a person degrades himself for a buck, so then he's most likely to say testimony forcefully if he's hired to do so. So that's Rav Nachman says, Oichle davar achar pesulin le'edis. Those that panhandle and collect from tzedakah from goyim are puzzle disqualified from saying edis. Says the Gemara, Hani mili b'farhesia. That's only if they do it in public. Aval b'tzina, if they do it in private, let's say that they get a Section 8 check or something like that, loy, then they're not disqualified. Upa parhesia nami, and even if they do it in public, loy amrim el de'efsha li'izune b'tzina v'kam vazin nafshei b'farhesia. If it was not possible, if it was possible to do it in private and he does it in public and he degrades himself in public for money, so then he's disqualified. Avaloy efshalei. So if it's impossible, if he had no other way to get money and he's going to starve to death if he doesn't collect, so then chiyusihi, this is his life. So then that doesn't disqualify him from being an aid. So if you have to collect and you have no other way of sustenance, even if you're collecting from goyim, you're still considered to be a kosher aid. Omer Rav Nachman. Rav Nachman said, "Hechoshed al ha'arayis kosher la'edis." If you are suspected of doing znus, you're suspected from immorality, kosher la'edis, you're still kosher la'edis. You may have a weak spot, but you're not disqualified from saying testimony in a financial case. Rav Sheshes didn't like that idea. He said, "Ani Mari, answer me, my master. Aboim b'chseife v'kosher." We're going to give the guy lashes because he's doing znus, and you're going to tell me that he's kosher le'edus. Hi, we just began, and we're talking about somebody who is accused of doing znus. So then he's still nevertheless kosher to be a witness in a financial case. So Amar Rava said, Umoide Rav Nachman would agree that you're not always kosher. Leaning Eidis Isa Shu Pasov. He's saying the testimony regarding a woman that she lost her husband, he's disqualified because we're going to assume that he's making up this testimony so that he can have this woman without a husband. So he'll say, oh, this woman lost her husband. So we're not going to trust him on that. Amar Ravina said, Vitemer Papa, Loy Amron El Lapuke. We'd only disqualify him if he says that the husband died. Avo La'ayoyle Les Lamba. But if we're going to say that, that she does have a husband, then he's aid is for a kedushin. We will say that he is a kosher aid. Masas pshita, of course. Why not? I mean, the fact that he's making this lady into a married woman, that sort of restricts her to him. And says the Gemara, Mahu, the same I would have thought, ha'adifale. He likes the idea that of his girlfriend being married. The ksiv, ma'im genuvim yintaku. Sweet waters, stolen waters are sweet. So he would rather have her married. So it's more of a suspenseful act of trying to get her to do znus. Kamash malam, the kamor, the kaimahoche shchichale. He's probably better off her not being married, so she should always be available to him and not be stuck with a husband. Okay, now the Gemara says like this. We said that the rule of thumb is that if you're a person does things out of money, right? You do things out of money,
so then we're disqualifying you as being an Adis. So v'omar, but not sometimes a person is a ganav, but he doesn't think of himself as a ganav. He thinks he deserves the money he stole. So Omar Rab Nachman said, Ganav Nisan Megav Tishrei Loishme Ganav, a sharecropper who works during the time of planting and during the time of harvesting, and he takes a little extra for himself. He's not really called a Ganav because Hanimili Bab Arisef, he's a sharecropper, so he gets part of the profits. Vidava Muad, he's only taking a little bit. Or Vidava Shenigmar Malachte, and things that don't need to be processed any further. So because he views himself as a worker, and he says, I'm probably permitted to take this, and he would think that his boss wouldn't mind. So in his mind, yes, he's a ganav, but in his mind, he's not a ganav, and therefore he draws the line when he will actually be considered a ganav. He wouldn't steal. Ikreit Rav Zvid, the farmer of Rav Zvid, a worker, Chad Ganav Kaba Desari Upasle. One of his farmers stole a kav of barley, and he disqualified him from being an aid. The Chad Ganav Kibura Dahine, and one stole a kibur of dates. Upasle, and Rav Zvid passed them. You're crooks. Says the Gemara, a new thing. Hani Kibroi, there was these guys on the burial society. The Kaber Nafshe B'Yamtiv Rishon Shel Tzeres. They buried a Jewish person on the first day of Shavuos. Obviously, they violated the Yamtiv to bury somebody on Shavuos. Shamtinhu Rapapa put them in Cherem, Upaslinu Le'edis, and disqualified them from ever being a witness. V'achshirinu Rav Huna B'rei Rav Yeshua said, no, they're kosher to be edis. They just violated the yontiv, but they're not disqualified from being an aid. Amalehi Rav Papa said, V'harashayim, aren't these evil people? They're violating the yontiv to bury somebody. So, so why shouldn't they? And Russia should be considered someone who's disqualified from being an aid. And says the Gemara, Savre mitzvah ali. But these people that were burying a person on Yontiv are thinking that they're doing a mitzvah. So therefore, they sort of justify themselves that we're not evil people. We just want to do a mitzvah burying a dead body. So they violated the Yontiv, but they're not doing it lahachas. Says the Gemara of Shamtina Lahu. Don't they get the idea that we're putting them in cherem, that we don't like them, and that they're doing something wrong? So Savre, but these people held kaparu ka'avdei rabbanim, that the reason why they're being put into cherem because they did a little thing wrong, so they need a certain kapara. But really, the rabbis are pretty satisfied that what they did of burying a person, because that's a mitzvah, burying somebody. So therefore, in their mind, they're not. So in order to be disqualified as an aid, you really have to be a real crook and know in your heart that you're a crook, not that you're excusing yourself any which way. The new Gemara, Itma, we learned on the top of the page, Chav Zayin. Aid Zoimim, a guy said testimony on something in Nisan time, and then Huzam in Tishrei. 6 months later, he became a disqualified witness. What's Zoimim? And somebody said to him, "How could you have said testimony in the month of Nisan? In the month of Nisan, you were with me in Florida." So they disqualified his testimony. That's a novel thing that two people can say you're a disqualified witness because you were with us during the time that you claimed to be here and witness the whole thing. Anyway, so they said Eidus in Nisan, and then they became Eidim Zoimimin in Tishrei. So Abaya says L'mafreihu nifso. So now we view them obviously as disqualified witnesses, but we retroactively say that they're disqualified. Any testimony that they said from Nisan time has been disqualified. Rava says Mikan ulahabohu nifsal. They're only disqualified from here on, from today, but not going backwards. So Abaya Amar, and the Gemara explains it. Abaya says L'mafreyahu nifsal, that you're disqualified going backwards, right? So you became Muzam in Tishrei. So we say that already in Nisan we backtrack, and any testimony. We call back all the cases that you were a witness from Nisan, because mi'idana da'aseh drasha. When you said testimony in Nisan time, you automatically became a Rasha because you had Hazama. The Torah says, Al Tashas Yadcha im Rasha. You're not allowed to be witness with a Rasha. Al Tashas Rasha. Hey, don't place a Rasha as a witness. So once we know, we discover that you are a Rasha. So therefore, any testimony that you said when you were discovered to be a Rasha, from back then, every testimony that you said is disqualified. Rava said, Mikan alabahu nifsal. Only from now on, going forward, you become pasul. Eid Zoimim Chidushu. The idea of an Eid Zoimim is a novel idea, where two people can say to two people, you both two people are disqualified because you were with us when this event happened. So how do you know you believe the second pair of Eidim, believe the first pair of Eidim? So that's a whole novel concept that the Torah said. So my chazas to samchas ahani, samay chahani. Why should you rely on the second pair of witnesses? Rely on the first pair of witnesses. So ein lechol boyel mishash chidusha ve'eleh. So it only takes effect from where the Torah gave its novel idea, and it was novelly discovered from Tishrei time. So only from Tishrei you become pasul, and any testimony that you said from Nisan to Tishrei, we consider that kosher. That's the opinion of Rava. Ika de Amri, others say, Rava nami ka Abaya Svire. Rava, in essence, will hold like Abaya, that you retroactively pasul the person from Nisan time. My time kama, mikan laba. Why did they say from kam lahaba, from right now in Tishrei time, you become pasul? Because take a look at all the purchases that will happen from Nisan till Tishrei, and these witnesses signed on documents, and people bought things, and now they're going to have to return it because the Eidim turned out to be pasul. So the Rabbanan said this can unravel many transactions. The Rabbanan have that power to say Hefker Bezdin Hefker, and will view them as kosher witnesses, even though in reality they're not kosher witnesses. So my benayu, what would be the differences between the two understanding of Rava? Either because of Pseudo Lekuchos or because it's a Chiddush. Ike benayu, the Asidu Beitrei Bachat. If two witnesses said to one witness, the second pair of witnesses said to that one of the two witnesses, said, Imana Hayisem. So there's no Chiddush there, that two versus one, we will listen to the two. So the two that's mazan, that one aid, is a disqualified witness, and there's no Chiddush there. So in that case, according to the first case, according to the first understanding of Rava, there would be no Chiddush. Rava would say retroactively that you're pasul. But if the point of Seder de Lekuchas, at the end of the day, until we discovered that he was a pasul Eidis, he kept signing on documents. So we will allow that all those documents that he signed, till we discovered he was pasul, be kosher. Iname de paslununim bagazlu nusa. They didn't pasul him by saying that imanu hayisem. They didn't say. They just pasuled him with something totally different. They pasuled the original Eidis by saying they're ganavim. So therefore, by saying that they're a ganav, that's something totally different. So you would believe the second pair of Edis. So therefore, there's no Chiddush. So Rava would agree to Abaya that they're pasul from back Nisan. But according to the Ikadiyami, that Rava would say that Pseida de Lechuchas, again, once these people signed on documents, you're going to call them all back and disqualify those documents. Rava wouldn't allow that to happen. So therefore, Rava holds Mikana Laba Hunifsal. So again, we have a machlokes, very important machlokes, called Eid Zoimim, a person who is a witness. He was kosher in Nisan. And then Tishrei, we found out that retroactively what he said in Nisan was pasul because he was Eid Zoimim. Abaya says we retroactively he pasul him, and Rava says no, from now on he's pasul. From Tishrei and on he's pasul. So who's the halacha like? So Rabbi Yirmi Medifti, Abad Rapapi Uvde Kavase de Rava, Barbar Ravavshi Hilchasa Kavase de Abaya. So it's machlokes who the halach is. The Hilchasa Kavase de Abaya biyal kegab. These are one of the 6 places in Shas where we will paskin like Abaya. So the halach is like Abaya, that we say retroactively the person is a possible witness. New Gemara, Mumar, a guy who went off the derech, Oichel Nevelis, and he eats non-kosher meat. Lite avoy, because it's a cheaper price. So he sells himself out for money. It's cheaper to buy Purdue chicken. So Divrei Hakol, everybody would agree, Pasul. He's a disqualified witness because he is a mumar. He went off the derech because he just sold himself out, saying it's too expensive to be a Jew. And because of that, we will not allow him to be a witness in a financial case because we assume that he will sell himself out for money. Lahach is if he could afford, but he just wants to anger God, like he doesn't believe in the Torah. So is he now considered to be a disqualified witness? Abaya am apostle. Abaya says he's apostle. He's not Jewish. Rava am kosher. Rava says he will be kosher. He's just angry at God regarding kosher, but he could be an honest person. The point is that if you're an honest person, you should be a kosher witness. And the Gemara says, Abaya ama apostle, that he's a disqualified witness, the Havale Rasha. Someone who eats trephis, he's a Rasha. Rachmana ama, the Torah says, Al Toshes Rasha aid. Don't make a Rasha into a witness. The Rava says kosher. He's kosher because Rasha the chamas beina. When are you disqualified from being a witness? Is only if you're a witness on a financial. If you steal money, so then I can't trust you to be a witness in a financial case. But if you're a Rasha because you eat trephis, not because of anything else, not because you're trying to save money, you just don't believe in God. So then you don't believe in the Torah. So then fine. Then you still could be a kosher witness regarding a financial transaction. Beisvei, so the Gemara asks a question, Altashis Yad Rasha Aid, Altashis Chamas Aid. What's the example? What's a Rasha that's possible for being a witness? Elu Gazlonin, a crook. So he's a financial crook, Rasha. Umay Alam Bishvias, and someone who swears falsely. My love, echad shvur shav, the echad shvur mammon. Whether he swears falsely on for nothing, he swears on a piece of stone that it's a piece of stone, so he swears in vain, or he swears for money. He lied in a shvur of money. So only these things are considered Rasha. But the Brisa doesn't say, what about if a guy eats trephis? Is he not a disqualified Rasha? So the Brisa doesn't mention anything like that. So this is a question against Abaya. Answers the Gemara, loy. Idi v'idi, no, so no. But the fact is that a shvuah shav, I'm sorry, is like somebody doing an avera of eating trephis. He's making a false shvuah, a in vain shvuah. So there's nothing financial about that, and yet he's still considered to be apostle Adis. Answers the Gemara, loy. Idi v'idi shvuas mammon. Only if he swore falsely regarding money, only then it disqualifies him as a witness, like Rava said. Umay shvuas, what kind of shvuas are we talking about? Shvuas the alma, any type of shvua that has to do with a financial aspect. If you swear falsely in that, so now I know you sell yourself out for money, therefore you're disqualified from being a witness, like in line with what Rava said. Meisvei, I'll ask you a question. Al Toshis Rasha Aid, Al Toshis Chamas Aid, Eili Gazalonim, Malve Beribius. These are the examples that the Brisa gives is someone who steals and someone who lends money for interest. You go to the Abaya, this will be a refutation against the Abaya because Abaya will say that even if you eat trephis, you're considered a disqualified. And the Brisa only says only if you do a financial rishis are you apostle for an aid. This is a refutation against the Abaya. Let us say that it's a machlekes tanoim. Abai and Rava is a machlekes tanoim. Eid zayim pasul l'chol Torah kula divrei Rameir. Eid zayim is pasul for the entire Torah. These are the words of Rameir. Rabbi Yosi says b'med devar mamurim shuhuzim b'dinin nefashos. Aval huzim b'dinin mamas kasher l'dinin nefashos. So Rabbi Rameir says that if you're found to be apostle, Eid zayim, you're apostle for even capital punishment. You can't be a witness. Rabbi Yosi says, if you became a Zayman for a capital punishment, then you can't never be a witness. But if you're just a huzam for a financial case, so we'll disqualify you only for a financial case, but for a capital punishment case, you'd still be kosher. Because maybe people take it more seriously, a capital punishment case. maybe he's a liar when it comes to dini mamanis, but when the dini nefashis, we can trust him. So Nema, let us say Abai Karameir, Abai, who calls once you are disqualified, you're disqualified from everything, um, will hold like Rameya. And Rava holds like Rabbi Yossi. And the Gemara explains. Abai Rameya, Abai says like Rameya, the Alma Mekula Lechumra. Once you're disqualified from monuminous, like you're automatically disqualified to be a aid for capital punishment. And that's what Abai is saying. A person who eats trephus, he didn't do anything wrong to people. He's just angry at God. Yet Abaye would punish him and say you can't even be you can't be a witness in court because there you're dealing with people. So Abaye extends his rishus from Ra Shemayim. So now he's not only Ra Shemayim, Ra Brias. He's evil to people. So Abaye wouldn't trust him. Rava, the Amar Rabbi Yossi. Rava will hold like Rabbi Yossi. The Amar Makom Lekula Amrinim. Rabbi Yossi says that only if you're disqualified from Dina Nefashis, then you're disqualified from Dina Imaminis. Mikula Lechumra, but from light to severity. From Dina Imaminis, if you're disqualified to Dina Imaminis, you're still kosher for Dina Nefashis. Le'amrinim. So that's what Rava said. Just because a guy eats trephis doesn't mean that we're going to extend it to more chumridic things and say, oh, you're also going to be disqualified for money. Maybe he just doesn't like the Torah, but that doesn't mean it doesn't mean that you'll disqualify his witness on the stand when it comes to a financial case. And it says the Gemara loy, not so. Nobody argues against Rabbi Yossi. Abaya would definitely say Rabbi Yossi does not agree to him. The argument is in understanding Rameya. Abaya is fully aligned with Rameya. Once you're disqualified, you're disqualified. That's why Abaya says if you eat trephus, you're disqualified from ever being a witness. For Rava say, Ad kan Rameya Hasam. Rameya was disqualifying only over there, the Rala Shemayim, Rala B'yis. Because once you're at Eid Zaymim, even if you did it for mominus, you're still hurting people. So therefore, you're disqualified from a mominus case, and you'll also be qualified from an nefashis case. Hachaba over here, if you're just eating trephus, the rala shemayim be'ein rala brias, you're doing something just bad for heaven and not hurting anybody. Loy, even Rameya says you would not be a disqualified. Says the Gemara, the halach is like Abaya, who said that what? That once you're disqualified eating guy eats trephis, cheeseburgers, then he's automatically not kosher to be a witness. Says the Gemara V'Yitaisif, didn't we refute Abaya from a brisa that seems to disagree with Abaya? Only if you're a Russia for financial cases, but not if you're a Russia by eating cheeseburgers. And says Rabbi Yossi, that brisa will go into Rabbi Yossi. So says the Gemara, V'Savi Nami Rabbi Yossi, even if you said that brisa is Rabbi Yossi, but Rabbi Meir, Rabbi Yossi, halacha Rabbi Yossi, when you have a machlokes between Rabbi Meir and Rabbi Yossi, the halacha is like Rabbi Yossi. And says the Gemara, normally you paskin like Rabbi Yossi. But Shani Hasan Desasim Lotanik Rabbi Meir, that we have a Stam Mishnayis, an anonymous Mishnah that says like Rabbi Meir. Again, Rabbi Meir says that once you're puzzle, you're forever puzzle. Even if you violate a little bit of the Torah, you're forever puzzle. From Heichasasimam. Where's the Stam Mishnah? So the Gemara tells us a quick story, and then we'll stop in 3 minutes here. The Bar Chama Katal Nafshe. There was this person called Bar Chama. He killed somebody. Abalei Reish Galutza Rab Abba Bayakov. So Reish Galutza said to Rab Abba Bayakov, Puk Ayimba, go investigate this Bar Chama. Ibade Katal, if he really killed somebody, then you have to blind him. In other words, I don't know why, but blinding him because that Bezdin used to not kill people. So instead of killing people, they blinded them if you were a murderer. Also, Tresa, do Aside Bey Devadi Kartel. So 2 witnesses came and said this Bar Chama killed somebody. Also, EU Aitze Tresade. So Bar Chama brought his own 2 pair of witnesses. Asu de Bechad Mahanach. He said testimony against one of the witnesses. One pair of Adim said about one of his murder witnesses that he was a crook. He stole a peeled barley from me. And Chadama Kamai Didi Ganav Kata, we go to Ahmed Beis, Kata de Borita. He stole Bortia. He stole the head of a handle of a spear. So now, basically, this Bar Chama had two witnesses that saw and want to say testified that he murdered somebody. So Bar Chama brought to disqualify these witnesses by saying they're ganovim. I have witnesses that says that your witnesses are ganovim. The witnesses that are trying to testify against me that they are ganovim. So only according to a mayor, once you're disqualified from mumminus, you're disqualified from you're disqualified from nefashis. So he said, Amalei, my daitach, Rameir. What's your opinion, Rakmeya? That once you're disqualified for anything. Rameya, Rabbi Yossi, Allah Rabbi Yossi. Allah is like Rabbi Yossi. And these still, even though they're ganavim, they could still be kosher in a capital punishment case. Rabbi Yossi says, who's a Medina Mominis, kosher ledina nefashis, someone who is destroyed, he's found to be not kosher for dina mominis, he still would be a valid aid for dina nefashis. Papi says, over here we have a stam mishnah like Rameya. I'm going to skip down to over here. That's Nan. Let's go down to right before the Mishnah, this is the source. That this Mishnah is going to prove that the halacha is like Rameya, and then we'll end. Now we learned in the Mishnah, Eilu psulim. The following are disqualified witnesses. Hamsachik bekuvia, someone who gambles. Malve beribis, someone who lends with interest. Mafrichi yainim, someone who does horse racing or bird racing. V'seichre shvias, those that profit from Shemitah fruit, va'avodim, and slaves. Zehaklal. This is the general rule. Kol eidish ein isha ksherah, afhein ein ksherah. Any type of testimony that a woman you wouldn't trust, so then they're also not trusted. So Mani, who is the author of this Mishnah? Rabbi Yossi. Are you going to say that this Mishnah goes according to Rabbi Yossi? Va'ika edus bedina nefashis, a capital punishment case. She'eni isha ksherah, a woman is not kosher for a capital punishment case. The hain ksherah, and these people are kosher. Because you say that what disqualifies these people, the gambler, is because they're financially not straight people. And according to Rabbi Yossi, they're only disqualified from financial cases, but they're kosher for din and nefashos, for a capital punishment case. And yet, the Brisa says that these people would also be disqualified from a capital punishment case. Allah Rab Meir, it must be Rab Meir. So basically, Rab Papi saved Bar Chama from being killed because those witnesses that were testifying against Bar Chama that he murdered somebody were ganovim, and these ganovim, once they have a financial history, so then we don't even trust them for capital punishment case. Bar Chama got up and kissed the feet of Bar Rapapi for saving him from the death penalty. And he agreed to pay his taxes for an entire year. So again, this is what you have to remember from today's daf. If somebody is disqualified from being a witness because he's a crook, so that doesn't mean, according to Rabbi Yossi, he could still be a witness in a capital punishment case. But according to Rabbi Meir, once you're disqualified in a little bit, you're always going to be disqualified. Okay. Right? Okay. We'll start tomorrow by the